I'm only a couple months late. I mean, this series only finished in April, so it's fine. Today we're going to be discussing The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater, the 4th book in the Raven Cycle series. If you're unaware, I have been marathoning this series all during the month of July this year. I read the first 3 only on audio, and this one I actually did a little bit of both. I did some audio, some regular book. It was an adventure, to say the least. I can't really say much about this book without spoiling it if you haven't read the first 3 books, because it's a series. You know how series work. If you want a general idea of what I think about the series in this book, definitely recommend it. It's not going to be for everybody, and you may have to work to get through it, but I definitely think it's worth it, and I really latched onto it very quickly, and it's taken over my life. So yes, I think it has a very satisfying conclusion, and it only gets better as the books go on, but it's really going to be up to you personally. It's not a book that everybody is going to love, but a lot of people do love it. So if you haven't read the first 3 books, go read them and then come back. And if you want to know what I thought specifically of this book wrecked me. It was so beautiful, and it's like definitely one of my top books of 2016. Right now, the only things that could potentially top it would be Empire Storms, Akamath, and potentially Gathering of Shadows, depending on where I end up fitting that into my numbers. But right now, this is like in my top 4, so I don't know. You should read it. It's really good. I am glad that I read this one a little bit more physical than the other ones, because I think I didn't get as lost this time around than I did with the other ones, but I did really like the bits of the audio that I was listening to, and I would someday like to go back and listen to all of this on audio, because I really like Will Patton's audio. After 4 books, I've finally gotten used to it. If you want to actually talk about this book, you're gonna have to read it and come back. Okay, great. Talk to you soon. Okay, guys. Okay. I can't believe I'm done with this series. Like, I started out July being like, yeah, I'll read the Raven Cycle. Why not? I could do it in a month. And then, like, it's been 2 weeks and I'm done with all 4 of them. I was actually supposed to do like a read-along with Whitney from Witty Novels and Brandon from Brandon the Book Addict on this, because they had read up until book 3, well, except for Brandon. Brandon read up until book 2, and he was like, I'll read 3 and 4 with you. He finished 3 first, and so I was like, okay, we gotta wait for Whitney, because Whitney was waiting until Cramathon was over, and so we were gonna do a read-along for this book, and nobody told me to stop, and so I just went, and I read this in like less than 24 hours total. Let's talk about this book, okay? I loved this book. Like, I really liked the first 3 books. They were really good, but this one, it just stands above the other ones. It's just wonderful. I think it left a little bit to be desired, especially the end. I felt like the ending was very abrupt, and I was like, why is there no more pages? I just wanted to go on forever. But the stuff that was in it, I think, was really, really well done. And for a series that had so many questions, I think it gave just the right amount of answers. And those answers were just right enough that I wasn't completely pissed off like I would be with like Mara Dyer or the Never Never series. I honestly like don't even know how to put it into words. Like, this whole series, I struggled a lot with my last book review talking about it, because I just like, there's so many things going on, and they kind of make no sense, and you're also feeling a lot for the characters, and you can't really explain it. Like, it's an inexplainable series if you were to pitch it to somebody, so I'm kind of wondering how it got sold and popular. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, I can't put it into words how much this series means to me. It's beautiful. It made me want to reread all of the magical realism books that I've never understood. It makes me want to look for more magical realism. It makes me want to go gallivanting in the mountains. It makes me want to find a boyfriend, but also befriend like 5 boys who I don't date. Like, I fell headfirst into this series, and I am still in the hole trying to get myself out. So I'm going to talk about the writing really quickly. I think the writing in this book is slightly different from in the previous books. The main thing I noticed, aside from the multitude of new POVs, is that there was a lot of repetition going on, and there was like a lot of weird sentence structure. Like, there were sentences that just like turned into thoughts, and then they just kind of like fizzled out and trailed off, and there was like sometimes no punctuation. Again, like I said, there was repetition. There were a lot of times where I would be reading and it was like the same thing over and over and over again, And I don't know if this is because I'm reading this one physically and the other ones had it and I just like didn't notice because I was listening, or if it actually is really different in this one. So I would be curious to see if you noticed that. So it was just really interesting to see. I feel like the thought process kind of changed a little bit for this one, and it did feel different. I don't know, not bad different, just different. And I think part of that does have to do with how many different POVs we're going through. I really like this series because it's multiple POV. A lot of people hate multiple POV books. Like, they don't like dual perspective. They don't like books like Sarah J. Maas, where she just has so many POVs going on. It's crazy. I don't mind multiple POV books when they are done well and they don't leave you in complete suspense. I really liked this one because we got even more POVs than we usually do, and I felt like it was a very omniscient narrator. Like, a lot of times it was kind of third person, first person, if that makes sense, in the past. But there would be times I felt like I was reading a scene and it would switch between multiple characters being like, and so thought this, and then they were thinking this, and they were doing this, and like, I just felt like it really matched the magical realism quality of it, where you couldn't really pinpoint whose story it was about. And that was definitely highlighted throughout many chapters, where they would be like, depending on how you tell this story, or where you tell the story, or whatever, depending on a lot of things, this story could be about so-and-so, or so-and-so, or so-and-so. And there was like, it happened multiple times, again, with the repetition. But I liked how Maggie just like drew out these random people, like Lamonnier, I think that's how you say it, or the one at the end, which was Henry's mother, I believe, whose name I can't pronounce, sadly. Or there was like Green Mantle's random scene, or I think we may have gotten a scene from Piper. We got some demon POVs. We obviously got POVs from the main four. We got Henry POV. Like, we got literally so many going on, and I did not feel at one point that I was lost. And I also wasn't scrambling to figure out who it was, because a lot of the times when I start reading a multiple POV chapter, you get to the point where you're like, okay, but I don't know who you are. You could literally be any character. And Maggie did a really good job of, one, distinguishing who it was as the character speaking, but also making us feel like, hey, calm down. You don't need to know exactly who it is right now. Like, you will find out and you will figure things out. It's magical realism. Nothing makes sense anyways. And you're like, okay, great. I'll just roll with the punches. So I really, really liked that about it. And I just generally like multiple POV books because you have so much more freedom where you can put in random POVs, which kind of helps with suspense, and it kind of makes it feel dreamlike. Whereas like in normal books with one POV, it's like, well, I'm with the main character and they don't know who this person is, but we'll figure it out someday, you know? The Lamonnier, just as a character, that first chapter with them, I was like, who the hell would make triplets and give them all the same name? Like, this literally would only happen in magical realism. Speaking of magical realism, I want to talk about it because I feel like I've never read one that I thoroughly enjoyed as much as this series. Most of the magical realism I've come in contact with has been for school, in high school. And if you've been to high school and you've done like AP reading, mainly I'm thinking of, you get a lot of weird books, and you get a lot of books that you're like, I don't understand this. This is stupid. I don't want to read this. I've had that happen many times, especially with magical realism. And so because that was my first experience with it, it totally turned me off from the genre. And I was just like, nah, I don't need this in my life. It's too weird. It doesn't make sense. It's stupid. But now that I've seen it from like a YA perspective with like actually decent plot and writing and things that interest me, makes me want to go back and read those books from high school. And I don't even like those books from high school. Like, the main book I'm thinking of is The House of Spirits by Isabel Allende. I know Ariel Bissett reviewed it on her channel, and I believe Max from Well Done Books, gosh, I hope that's his channel name, I know he recently hauled it, and so he was really excited to read it. I read it in high school, did not enjoy it very much, but it's, you know, in my head somewhere. So I kind of want to reread it now that I've read this, so I can compare some of those characters to like 300 Fox Way, because they have some parallels about it, but that's a whole nother video. I'm putting off talking about the boys because I just love them all so much. This just put it over the top. Like, I really liked each of them a little bit in the first three, and I really did enjoy Ronan's character the most, but like after this book, I'm just like, I love all of them. They're all beautiful, and Adam especially, he surprised me so much in this book. I just love his growth. They're all just so great. The whole time I was just freaking out for all of them because it looked like there was a chance that all of them could die. Thankfully they didn't, but they almost did. I actually had to take a break in the middle of reading it. When I hit Ronan and Adam's like first kiss, I was like, that's it, I'm done. Like I'm not reading anymore. I give up. This is too great. I don't want sad things to happen. And that was last night around midnight. And then I was like, okay, I have to do this. And so yeah, it was not good. It was great, but it was such suffering happened today. Let's talk about the ships, because I know in my last review I was like, I don't know, not sure, don't ship them, really unsure of everything. I still am not really pleased with how the ships started, and I don't think Maggie did them justice at the beginning of the series. And part of that might be because I read it on audio and so I wasn't paying attention to all the little things. I'm not really sure, but from where I am right now, I feel better about it. Like, I think she did a decent job in The Raven King of bringing everything together and making you be like, oh, if you don't ship this couple, you do now because they're now your OTP. Literally me with Adam and Ronan. I don't know. I still kind of feel like Ronan and Adam was a little bit weird to begin with because it was so forced, I guess, because I feel like she didn't do enough to show that they kind of liked each other, like Ronan liking Adam mainly. But I can forgive it because they were just so beautiful. The Raven King, oh my gosh, I just love them so much. I honestly, like, I really would like a book about just the two of them. Can we make that happen, please? Like a novella or something of them hanging out, because I just need it so badly. As for Blue and Gansey, I do see it, and I did appreciate the scenes that they had in this book. It's still not my OTP. Like, whenever they had scenes together, I wasn't like, OMG, Blue and Gansey together. But there were a couple moments where I was like, that's so sweet. Like, I definitely think they should belong together. But, you know, they're not like my OTP like some people. Like, I'm more for Ronan and Adam for sure. I don't know. It wasn't a major part of the book for me to ship Blue and Gansey, so I was kind of like, whatever. They did kiss, so that's good. The real question here, can they kiss again? Or are they still, like, not supposed to kiss? Like, how does that work? I'm really sad about Mora and the Gray Man because it sounded like the Gray Man was like, well, I'm just gonna be gone and I guess I'm not coming back because you don't see me coming back, you know? And that made me kind of sad because I really like them together, so hopefully they have a happy ending somewhere. Let's talk about how it was concluded, because there were a lot of things leading up to this book and there were a lot of things that needed to be tied up. And I feel like overall, even though there were some loose ends that I wish had been tied up a little bit better, and even though I do still kind of feel like it was a cop-out loophole with Gansey coming back to life, I can accept all of it. I think I like the plot the most in this one because it was so strange. And the other ones were strange, but this one, like, with the freaking hornet wasp demon thing, like, it was creepy. Like, there were some times where I was reading and I was like, this is it. I'm dead inside. I've been scarred for life. This is creepy. Like the scene where Green Mantle dies and he's just like chilling in his room and then there's this humming and he's like, what is this humming? My wife's behind me. Oh, I'm dead. That was sufficiently creepy. I really enjoyed it. Actually. Oh my goodness, the scene at the end, starting right about the time that Adam's like killing Ronan. Adam's like possessed and he's trying to kill Ronan and then they handcuff him and blindfold him and then he's blindfolded and all this stuff starts happening and you're just like, no, I need more details. What is going on? And he's like, I took off my blindfold and it was the end of the world. And I was like, great. And Ronan's like dying and Gansey's like, all right, I'm just gonna die. It's fine. I'll just do it. It's quick. It's easy. Let's just go. And it was stressful. Honestly, all the scenes with Adam were pretty creepy when he like thought he was becoming possessed and then the black thing came out in the bathroom and he's just like, my eye is drooping and I can't do anything. Put water on the floor. Okay, like sometimes when I think about this plot and these books, if I try and explain it to myself or to other people, it sounds like I'm crazy. This is a crazy plot. It makes no sense, but somehow it makes so much sense. The scene where Noah rips out Blue's eye almost was so freaking terrifying. Oh my gosh. And then I actually physically gasped when Adam was possessed at the end and he's like, and then he just ripped out Blue's stitches and I was like literally gasped. It was so scary. Glendower obviously was dead and he didn't mean anything, which I thought was kind of fitting. Like, I kind of liked how at the end it was like everything went to shit and then Adam was like, we should just ask Cabeswater to give us Gansey back. And Cabeswater was like, no, that's not how this works. You can't do that. That's just stupid. That's okay. Sure. Here's Gansey. Like, I don't understand. That whole chapter of Cabeswater's POV was like, nah, we can't do that. Sorry, it's impossible. Okay, sure, here. Actually, here's Gansey. Have him back. Like, I still don't understand that part, so it kind of makes no sense to me. But when Gansey was dying, I actually did kind of think along the lines of everybody else, and they're like, you have magic, like, bring him back to life. You can do anything. And they're like, no, that's not how magic works. I was like, no, but this is magical realism. Like, you can't just kill him. Like, anyways, I kind of felt like that scene in Star Wars where they're like, it's okay, we'll just use the Force. And Han Solo's like, that's not how the Force works. Look at how beautiful it is. It's so pretty. I did appreciate like the little epilogue thing. I thought it was really cute because we had like Adam going back to his parents and being like, hey, look, I'm an adult. I can handle this. I'm stronger than you. And I was like, yeah. Character development. Actually, I really like the line where Robert Parrish is like talking about Adam's new life, and he's like, and now you're driving your boyfriend's Beamer or something, and I was like, boyfriend. Really liked how Blue ended up getting the dream Camaro. That was so great. And Gansey's like, Ronan is so dumb. I hate him. Why would he do this? And Blue's like, yay, I have a car. Oh, okay. Here's the thing that I really liked about Blue's character in this one. Even though it was like a very stressful book and there was like a lot of crazy magical things happening, I did appreciate how there was like the underlying theme of her being like, okay, but like after school, what is my life? Where am I going? I really liked how it did focus so much on her being like, I'm poor, like I'm in a poor family, I'm not gonna be able to go to college. And her mom was like, yeah, but like, you could do anything. Like, I did like how there was hope in that. I don't think that's how the world works, because as I'm going into post-grad potentially from college, I'm still like, I don't even know if I'm gonna have a job next year. It's fine. But that kind of gave me hope as a college senior, being like, you're right, Maura. I could go see the world. I can do anything I want. I mean, it does help if you have super rich friends like Gansey. Okay, another creepy scene was the scene where Ronan and Adam are in Cabeswater and they're like, this is totally wrong, but we're gonna keep walking through it anyways. The orphan girl just like gets dragged into a pool of acid and Ronan's like, okay, and he like leaps into it, like literally that page. I stared at that sentence and was like, this is it. This is the end of my life. But like honestly, that whole thing kind of reminded me of like in Yellowstone, they have a bunch of hot springs, and my dad has just told me so many stories of people who like dive into hot springs after their pet. And I'm like, this is literally what it's like. You're not gonna come out alive. It's gonna be awful. They came out and like they didn't look like they had been eaten by acid, you know, like as far as it was described, like they didn't come out with any burns or anything. And so I was really confused because I felt like they were in real Cabeswater, but then I was like, okay, but like what if Cabeswater is always a dream? And so they come out of it and they're like, I just didn't understand that. I felt like there should have been consequences when there wasn't, you know. I would like to know the significance of the orphan girl, because I feel like it's more than just like Ronan's subconscious, you know, like did he want a little sister? Is it him? What is it? Like, I would like to know more about that, Maggie. I still can't believe Blue is a tree person. I don't understand how that works, but it's pretty cool, I guess. I'm honestly like more sad than I thought I was gonna be, because I have not been in this fandom for longer than 2 weeks, and I'm already like, where's book 5? When are we gonna hear adventures about all of them? Like, I would love a novella bind-up for this series of like after the Raven King, where they're all like going about their separate lives, like road tripping, or Ronan and Adam being cute, or like Blue and Gansey being cute, or like Gamora finding the gray man again. Like literally, I want all of these. So that's kind of my collective thoughts on the Raven King. I really, really love this series, and it's definitely gonna be one of my favorite series of all time, for sure. Thank you so much for coming along with this wonderful, wild ride. If you have comments about the series or about this book or anything, please let me know. Talk to me in the comments, because we cannot let this series die. It is too beautiful for that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!